If I can overcome my HIV diagnosis, you can overcome anything that you're going through. Hi, my name is Bianca and I'm HIV positive. I share my story to help do my part in ending the stigma surrounding HIV, and I also hope that in me sharing my vulnerabilities, you have the space to share your vulnerabilities and heal as well. I'm not gonna lie, the day that I got diagnosed with HIV, I felt as though my world fell apart. I literally was not ready for that type of news. It's literally like everything that you thought you once knew ceased to exist. A little background on my story. The person that infected me with HIV was my ex-boyfriend, and he knew that he was HIV positive and intentionally infected me and countless others with HIV. And so when I was diagnosed, I was faced with a decision. I was basically at a crossroads. Am I going to let this diagnosis control my life, or am I going to be the one to dominate this diagnosis and live my life how I see fit? And I decided that I was gonna go with the latter. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, it definitely took some time. It was so hard to really believe what I knew deep down inside. So deep down inside, I knew that I was that girl. Deep down inside, I knew that I was gonna be happy again, that my life was only gonna get better from here. Like, I knew these things, but on my day-to-day basis, my conscience wasn't really up to speed. So I had to really dig deep and reprogram my mind every single day in order to finally get to a place where I felt like I believed what I said I was. More importantly, that I believed who God said I was. So once you're diagnosed with something like HIV, you're basically like a social pariah, especially in the heterosexual community. I realized that I wanted to get to a point that I was no longer ashamed of my diagnosis, because I was. I was afraid of how I was going to be viewed in society. I was afraid of telling my friends and family. At that time, I was a sex worker, so I was afraid of my livelihood, and basically everything that I thought I knew was no more. I decided that at that moment I had to do whatever was necessary in order to get to the other side of this diagnosis, which was owning it, having authority over it, like Jesus Christ says that we have authority over all things in His name alone, period. I started off by, number one, reading. There were some books that I read that transformed my life, and I kid you not, God placed those books in my life so strategically because I read them right before I was diagnosed, like a month and a half before I was diagnosed. And I'll link them down below if you guys want to know what books they were, but they literally transformed my life into being present and transcend my diagnosis, right? Because the only thing that matters is love. And who is love? God is love. So the only one that matters is God. The only thing that matters is what God says about us, not about what a diagnosis says about us. That was extremely hard for me to do because prior to me getting diagnosed, I was living a wild life. It was extremely wicked. It was extremely toxic. I had a lot of trauma, a lot of pain that I was carrying with me, which I talk about in my other videos. I would love to share my testimony one day. I just know that I'm gonna be crying a lot. So I was a slave to my own self-destructive thoughts, and I listened to them. They were so impulsive, and wherever it said to go, I was there. And I found myself in this loop of just self-destructive behaviors. I desperately wanted to change. I desperately wanted to live a better life, but I felt like I couldn't because I couldn't get out of that cycle of the thoughts that were causing me to make horrible decisions for myself. So the first practice was to really focus on being present, because in the present moment, your situation is non-existent. In the present moment, you have everything that you need. And granted, you might not be at 100% health. I was literally dying when I started believing this about myself. Everything that happens in our lives happens for us and not to us. Reading this really transformed my perspective because I was able to see the blessing in my lesson. It was true. At that moment, when I got diagnosed, that was probably the best situation that I could be in, considering I didn't know. And the longer I remained without medication, the worse my situation in my body God. I was so close to acquiring AIDS because my body was literally fighting for its life. Wherever you find yourself, whatever situation you may be going through, just know that in the present moment, you have everything that you need within. Do not focus on anything external. Do not focus on the past, what you could have done differently. Do not focus about the future of how things are going to go, because you cannot control that. The only thing that you can control is the now. And if you have a positive and hopeful and faithful outlook on the now, your future is going to look hopeful. Your future is going to look positive. Your future is going to look healthy and joyful. And this is not to be considered like a pseudoscience, because there are people that are struggling through some real serious stuff. But wouldn't you want to live the best life possible with the short amount of time that we all have on this earth? Because in sickness or in health, only God knows our days. Life is nothing but a blink of an eye and then it's gone. So wouldn't you want to live your life feeling content in every situation? And that's number 2, okay? Contentment. Contentment and gratitude changed the game for me. When I'm telling you that I had never been more grateful, more thankful than when I was going through my HIV diagnosis, I would be lying to you. I think I was realizing how much mercy God had over my life. I acted and I made decisions as a person that didn't love herself, and as a person that basically had a death wish, that didn't want to be here in this world anymore. When I got diagnosed, I felt as though God was really saving my life, and not just my life, but my soul, because I began to realize how precious my life really is and how valuable and worthy I really am, in spite and despite of anything. Whatever it is that you're going through, please remind yourself that you are worthy, because you are. There is nothing that you can do that can make you less worthy or more worthy, because the one who made you worthy already paid the ultimate price for you. No one can do anything to remove the value that Jesus gave you on the day that he died and rose again. Rest assured that it doesn't matter what your past was like. Of course, we all have to answer to our actions and decisions. But God is a merciful God. I say this with a smile on my face, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful or make light of whatever you're going through, but I'm telling you that this is how I viewed my life, even through my tears. Yo, I was crying and literally just affirming to myself how beautiful I was, how healthy I was, how chosen, how valuable I was, as I was crying, as my heart was breaking. I want you guys to be able to experience this, that it is okay to grieve. It is okay to feel sad. This is not about toxic positivity. Nah, this is about believing that you are who God says that you are. And when you believe in that, you'll be crying and still know that the one who has made you the promise is worthy to fulfill it. He is worthy of our trust, because listen, if there's anyone that keeps their promises, it is God. Being content, remaining grateful in the moment helped me tremendously. It allowed me to not focus on what I no longer had, which was a negative status. And something that actually helped me with my diagnosis is that the first time that I told somebody that I was interested in that I was HIV positive, he dubbed me, he blocked me. Mind you, and he was all up in my ear talking about that he loved me, this and that and that. The moment that I told him, he blocked me. But then I was like, you know what? This is actually a good thing, because at least I can discern the real from the fake. The people that just want to use me, or the people that actually care about me and genuinely love me. Because my entire life, I was wasting my time, wasting my energy, my love, my resources on men that did not care about me. Hence how I ended up in this situation. And something that I also read that I feel like is really important is like, the people that care don't matter, and the people that don't care matter. Those are the people that you want in your circle. Guys, you can overcome anything. The battle is won in the mind. Try to not listen to negative music. I was listening to Oprah's Super Soul Sunday literally every single day that I was working out. My AirPods was in and the podcast was on. When you feel weak, go to God. When you feel discouraged, go to God. And just always remember that, take it day by day. Do the little that you can, one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, you will be a person that has overcome the biggest mountain that you have ever faced in your life. I believe in you. You can do this. I love you. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.